On February 24, 1989, a Boeing 747-100 operated by United Airlines was conducting its scheduled intercontinental flight 811 on the route Los Angeles, Honolulu, Auckland, Sydney. There were 355 people on board. Flight 811 departed Honolulu for Auckland at 1:52. While climbing to cruising altitude, the captain decided to reroute the aircraft to avoid a thunderstorm. Predicting turbulence, the captain kept the "Fasten Seatbelt" sign illuminated, which later saved many passengers' lives. At approximately 2:08, at an altitude of 7,000 meters, a metallic scraping noise was heard in the business class cabin, followed by a loud bang. Within 1.5 seconds, the forward cargo door detached from the aircraft, creating a massive hole in the fuselage. The sudden pressure differential caused 11 seats to detach and be ejected from the aircraft through the hole, resulting in the deaths of 9 passengers. The explosive decompression caused by the detached cargo door destroyed the emergency oxygen system for passengers and crew, which was located near the cargo door. The crew initiated an emergency descent and performed a 180-degree turn to return to Honolulu. The detached cargo door and other debris struck the aircraft, damaging the right wing along with engines 3 and 4, causing them to catch fire. The crew was forced to shut down engine 3, followed shortly by engine 4, and continued to fly using the 2 remaining left engines. To achieve a safe landing weight, the crew jettisoned fuel at 2:34. Flight 811 made an emergency landing at Honolulu Airport. Due to the sustained damage, the flaps and slats could not fully deploy during landing, forcing the crew to maintain a higher landing speed of 370 km per hour. Nevertheless, the pilots managed to bring the aircraft to a stop before the end of the runway. After landing, all passengers were evacuated in under 45 seconds. Several crew members sustained injuries of varying severity. The investigation into the incident was conducted by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB. Theories of a terrorist attack or fatigue fractures were ruled out. 2 final reports on the investigation were published. The first report was released when the search for the detached cargo door yielded no results. The second report was published after the door was eventually located in the ocean at a depth of 4,300 meters, retrieved, and studied. Both reports focused on the cargo door and the reasons it might have detached. All other damage to the wing and engines was attributed to impact from the detached door and fragments of the fuselage. The cabin damage and the deaths of 9 passengers were also a result of the door's detachment and the subsequent explosive decompression. The door locking mechanism involves several components. The lift mechanism moves the door from the open position to nearly closed. The latching mechanism tightly pulls the door into a sealed position. The locking mechanism secures the door in its closed position, and the safety lock mechanism mechanically blocks the locking mechanism to prevent accidental opening. The first 3 components can be operated either by automatic electric drives controlled by a single switch or manually. The final safety lock is engaged manually using a lever located outside the aircraft door. Moving the safety lock lever to the locked position cuts power to the electric drives of the other mechanisms. On the flight engineer's panel, the indicator for that specific door then extinguishes. During the inspection of the door as part of the first report, the NTSB believed the most likely cause of the incident was damage to the safety lock mechanism during maintenance, which could have caused the door to appear fully closed but not actually be locked. However, after examining the recovered door, it was found that the initial assumption was incorrect. The recovered door's safety lock was in the locked position, while the latching mechanism was found in the nearly open position. The nature of the damage to the safety lock indicated that the damage occurred as a result of the unlocking mechanism being engaged while the safety lock was still in the locked position. A similar situation had previously occurred on March 10, 1987, with a Pan Am Boeing 747. In that case, cabin pressurization issues were caused by damage to the safety lock mechanism when an attempt was made to manually open the locking mechanism while it was in the locked position. Subsequent testing of the electrical circuits of the automatic door system revealed that the limit switch responsible for cutting power to the electric drives when the door was locked was stuck in the closed position, while other similar switches remained functional after 18 months at great depth. Nevertheless, the NTSB could not conclusively determine whether this switch was faulty prior to the incident. An inspection of the door's wiring revealed that the insulation on some wires was crushed to the point of exposing the conductive core. Among the damaged wires were those whose short-circuiting could have activated the electric drive of the unlocking mechanism. Deficiencies in the design of the cargo doors had been known since the 1970s when two similar incidents occurred with DC-10 aircraft. However, these cases were not seriously addressed by the aviation industry. On June 13, 1991, following the incident with Flight 811 but before the publication of the second report, another United Airlines Boeing 747 experienced an unintended activation of the door lift mechanism due to damaged wiring at New York's airport. Based on this, investigators narrowed the potential causes to three hypotheses. The cargo door was not properly closed and locked before takeoff. After being properly locked, the door was manually opened. After being properly locked, the electric drive of the unlocking mechanism activated, damaging the safety lock and moving the latching mechanism into the nearly open position in which it was found. The first two hypotheses were ruled out due to numerous eyewitness accounts confirming that the door was operated only via the automatic system and not manually. The final hypothesis is plausible with the caveat that the activation of the unlocking mechanism occurred long before the door detached, as the additional safety relay that cuts power to the entire cargo door system after takeoff was functional. At high altitudes, the pressure difference inside and outside the aircraft presses the locking mechanism so tightly together that the electric drive could not have moved it. The conclusion states that the most likely cause of the incident was the sudden opening of the forward cargo door, followed by explosive decompression. This sudden opening was attributed to a failure in the control switch or wiring that occurred before takeoff. Contributing factors included design flaws in the cargo door locking mechanism, which allowed the door to open after being properly closed and locked, and the delayed response by the aircraft manufacturer and regulatory bodies to address this design flaw, which had been identified over 2 years before the incident. Kevin and Susan Campbell, parents of a passenger who died in the incident, conducted a private investigation. Their findings concluded that the cargo door locking mechanism was defective. The NTSB issued recommendations to all airlines worldwide to replace all cargo door locks on Boeing 747-100 aircraft with stronger ones. The crew of Flight 811 was honored for their heroism. The Boeing 747-100 was successfully repaired and continued to operate with United Airlines. On March 18, 1997, it was sold to Gambian airline Air Dabia and was eventually decommissioned and scrapped in 2001.